We have some interesting developments today at Gitmo with the KSM et al. Pre-trials going on. And I'm actually very optimistic, which lately, as you know, I haven't been, because of a couple of the things that have come out. Now, one of the things I'm going to mention to you, I'm going to have to cover in another video here. So that will probably be coming out tomorrow, unless we're going to do two in one day. I guess you could. But that has to do with, as of today, which is September 12th, 2022, that the victims and family members of 9/11 have filed another lawsuit in federal court. And that is to, again, release the Saudi official name that continually remains secured under national security. So that's going to be interesting. But reason I'm waiting on going over that is because of something else I just found. What if I were to tell you that I have some interesting information that actually was published in 2019, and it has to do with the plea deal coming out that they were willing to do. Actually, Sheikh Mohammed, one of the five alleged terrorists in Gitmo, had made an offer to go ahead and give the official Saudi official's name in exchange for taking the death penalty off the table. And so that was debunked, saying that, well, no, they never said that, and so on. Well, that is not true. And they did say it, and it was reported, and I found the report. But what is really interesting is, reminder, what is going on right now? Right now, they are in the 9/11 trials. KSM et al. Are in plea deal. But this time, the government is saying, if all five of the detainees of KSM et al. Plead guilty for all of the crimes posted against them, if they plead guilty to that, then they will take the death penalty off the table and give them life in prison, wind up repatriating them back to their own country. Well, I personally think something else is going on. And I think we're coming very, very quickly to completion here with things. But you decide. I'm going to go ahead and read to you an article that I just put out today, which goes over this and goes over the WSJ article that was put out in 2019. Okay, before I go on with that, would you please go ahead, if you like this video, to click the like button, and also become a member of the c-vine.com website. That's c-vine.com website. It would be helpful if you would just buy me a cup of coffee and become a $5 a month member to support us. Otherwise, if you don't, still giving you everything on the website for free. A lot of work and effort goes into it, but we are completely supported by our members. So it would be helpful if you would do that. Okay, with that being said, we are ready to rock and roll here. This is the report I just put out. Opinion is the KSM et al. Gitmo plea deal going to release the real 9/11 orchestrator game. As of today, the KSM et al. Pre-trials are in the process of a plea deal negotiation with alleged 9/11 terrorists. The government reportedly will take the death penalty off the table if all five terrorists plead guilty of their crimes. Be aware that all five of the KSM et al. Gitmo detainees have already gleefully pled guilty multiple times in the past. Also, as of today, the victims and family members of 9/11 have filed a lawsuit in federal court to have what could be the true orchestrator name of 9/11 unredacted from a classified federal transcript. You can read that report here, and I have a link there for you to do that. While we continue to be slow walked over 21 years towards justice, and we remain in the pretrial phase, the following report, written on July 30th, 2019, I'm reiterating this, July 30th, 2019, by the Washington Street Journal, may give a startlingly clear bird's eye view of what may truly be going on right now. Right now. Is it possible we may soon learn the name of the Saudi official who is the true orchestrator of 9/11 directly from KSM et al. In exchange for this plea deal? You decide. Now, before I go on to the Washington Street Journal actual report that it has here, there is very interesting things going on at Gitmo, a lot of things that are going on behind the scenes. So keep a close eye about what is happening. Now, keep in mind, before anyone puts all this stuff into the comments about this is really an inside job and so on, so on. Critical thinking here, people. Critical thinking people. It's a matter of one step at a time. If this Saudi official's name is released, do you think that's going to be a pretty incredible domino to fall? What could come from that? Think about this. So please don't bombard me with comments and so on. I get it. I know. One step at a time. All right. Here's a report from the Washington Street Journal. Alleged 9/11 mastermind open to helping victims lawsuit if U.S. spares him the death penalty. Again, this was written in 2019. All right. Washington, alleged September 11th mastermind Khalid Sheikh Mohammed has opened the door to helping victims of the terrorist attacks in the lawsuit against Saudi Arabia if the U.S. government spares him the death penalty at a Guantanamo Bay military commission, according to court documents. Mohammed's offer was disclosed in a Friday ruling in the victim's federal lawsuit in New York, which accuses the Saudi government of helping coordinate the 2001 suicide attacks. Nearly 3,000 people were killed when terrorists crashed hijacked airliners into the World Trade Center, the Pentagon, and after passengers resisted, a Pennsylvania field there was in the Pennsylvania field. I'm sorry. RITA has denied complicity in the attacks. Separately, President Trump signed legislation Monday that pays for medical claims from victims of September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks, including first responders, for the rest of their lives. In a lawsuit against Saudi Arabia, plaintiffs' lawyers have requested depositions from 3 of the 5 Guantanamo detainees accused in the September 11th conspiracy. In the Friday filing, a status letter to the U.S. Magistrate Judge Sarah Netburn, the lawyers wrote that earlier Friday, Mohammed's counsel told them that their client wouldn't consent to a deposition at the present time. Mohammed's lawyers said, however, that the primary driver of the decision was the capital nature of the prosecution, and that in the absence of a potential death sentence, much broader cooperation would be possible, according to the filing. A lawyer for the Saudi government, Michael Kellogg, declined to comment. Mohammed's lawyers couldn't be reached for comment, but an attorney for Mohammed's nephew and co-defendant, Ali Abdul Aziz Ali, who also is known as Amir al-Baluchi or the money man of KSM et al., that's my sideline comment, said that there have been charges in the defendant's positions. Okay, so let's share your thoughts. This is what the Washington Street Journal states. Share your thoughts. Should the U.S. forego seeking the death penalty for Khalid Sheikh Mohammed in return for his cooperation? Why or why not? And so these are some of the feedbacks that we received. I think Mohammed feels ready and willing to assist the September 11th victims lawsuit, but I think he feels he needs to get through the death penalty question first, said lawyer Alka Pradhan. Mohammed, who also is suspected in the 2002 murder of Washington Street Journal correspondent Daniel Pearl, took a more defiant stance earlier in his stay at Guantanamo. At a June 2008 hearing there, Mohammed interrupted when a military judge described the procedure as a death penalty case. It was a martyr case, the defendant said. This is what I wish. I've been looking to be martyred for a very long time. A lot has happened in the past 10 years, said a person familiar with the Guantanamo proceedings. The 9/11 defendants are not as interested as they once were in martyring themselves. Interesting. In 2017, the Defense Department official overseeing the proceedings, Harvey Rickoshop, began exploring a potential plea bargain with the September 11th defendants that would exchange guilty pleas for life sentences, according to court documents and people familiar with the case. Mr. Rickoshop is said to have been concerned that the prosecution had been undermined by the torture inflicted upon Mohammed and other defendants at secret Central Intelligence Agency facilities overseas. That issue has mired the case against them in years of hearing and raised the possibility that a military or federal court could punish government misconduct by banning the death penalty. After word spread of plea discussions, Mr. Rickoshop was fired, and then Defense Secretary Jim Mattis, for what Mr. Mattis said were unrelated reasons. One of the main goals of those now Scotch deal negotiations was obtaining cooperation from the defendants with the person familiar with the Guantanamo proceedings, said. One of the main things on the 9/11 defendants have to offer is closure, particularly closure for the victims, this person said. With capital charges gone, there is opportunity to tell the story of 9/11 once and for all. James Kreindler, a lawyer for September 11th victims suing Saudi Arabia, said his team contacted Mohammed and his co-defendant as part of the wide-ranging discovery in the case, which is a pre-trial stages that could continue for years. Generally, foreign governments can't be sued in another nation's courts. In 2016, however, the Republican-controlled Congress overrode President Obama's veto to pass legislation designed to let those claims proceed over the strong objections of Saudi Arabia. The Justice Against Sponsors of Terrorism Act can expose foreign government to liability for complicity in attacks that occur on U.S. soil. Attorneys who had been pursuing September 11th related litigation since 2002 against entities they allege helped facilitate the attacks quickly brought actions against Riyadh. Even though we have been in, RITA, even though we've been in litigation for 17 years with banks and charities, only when JASTA was passed could we start the case against Saudi Arabia, Mr. Kreindler said. On Capitol Hill last week, FBI Director Chris Wray was quizzed about his agency's cooperation with the victims' lawsuit. Now remember, this article was written in 2019. Okay, there is mounting evidence that Saudi Arabia aided and abetted the 9/11 attackers. Senator Richard Blumenthal, Democrat, Connecticut, told Mr. Wray at a Senate oversight hearing. He urged the director to turn over materials that could substantiate that claim. We're trying to leave no stone unturned, Mr. Kreindler said Monday, but who knows whether Mohammed and other detainees ever testify or be honest or be cooperative. He added that his clients make no position on the death penalty for Guantanamo defendants. A Pentagon spokeswoman declined to comment, citing ongoing litigation. The September 11th victims' lawyers requested depositions from two of Mr. Mohammed's co-defendants as well. The Friday filing reported that counsel for al-Baluchi said The government respectfully declines to be deposed, noting that memory and cognitive difficulties, among other issues, present an obstacle to his participation in a deposition. Mr. Al-Belushi's lawyer, Ms. Pradhan, said his condition is a direct result of his torture. He has been diagnosed with traumatic brain injury from his being slammed into a wall in 2003. He has been diagnosed with PTSD, with anxiety, and he has bouts of vertigo. He continues to have extreme sleep disturbances as a result of his sleep deprivation. The CIA treatment of Mr. Al-Belushi was the basis for torture scenes in the 2012 movie Zero Dark 30, according to CIA materials released under the Freedom of Information Act. Over prosecution objections, defense lawyers screened the film at Guantanamo Military Commission hearing in 2016. Okay, the rest of this article goes on, but the whole gist of the reason I am bringing this up right now is quite simply, what do you think? They have a plea deal going on. It sounds like they're putting, the government is taking the bull by the horns and not admitting this is what has been discussed before in the past. We'll take the death penalty off the table if, we'll take the death penalty off the table if you go ahead and tell us who the real orchestrator or the Saudi official who is the real orchestrator of 9/11. Or right now, the plea deal is going on. Why would they do that? Because they're getting ready to throw the entire case out of court. Remember that? I've gone over this in multiple other videos I've done in the past because of the years and years and years of FBI, CIA shenanigans. It has made it so the KSM et al. Pre-trials will never go to tribunal because there's too many unsolvable issues. I talked all about that in a previous video of exactly what those issues are. So this is kind of interesting just to see exactly what's going on. But this article that I just saw reminded me what was written in 2019 of what they had going on then. So mark down what you think in the comments. Again, please like the video if you like it. Become a subscriber if you're not. And stay tuned for tomorrow's news.